Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
there we go. Sorry about that. Just needed to have a quick look at these. So we've got some really good stuff here. Basically, you've now got a new warlord traits table with 6 traits for each of the chaos gods.
Yeah.
And then you've got new hellforged artifacts for all
each,
4 of them. And new psychic
lists.
powers for all bar Khorne, because Khorne despises magic.
Yep.
And to be honest, Khorne despises most things. He's just like that. So the warlord traits, the Khorne ones.
Number 1, enemy units that failed fear suffer a wound for each point failed by. Pretty good. Your warlord has the rampage special rule. Really good. Your warlord has the feel no pain special rule in additional friendly units. With a Demon of Khorne special rule within 8 inches of your warlord have feel no pain 6+.
That's good.
That's really good. Your warlord has +1 strength. When making close combat attacks, your warlord can instead make a single devastating blow attack. If you do so, roll to hit as normal and resolve the attack at strength D AP2. Really good.
And Rage Incarnate.
Your warlord and all friendly units with the Demon of Khorne special rule gain rage whilst they're within 8 inches of your warlord.
Okay, so
they're all really good.
All of those are good for your... Probably the worst one would be the fear one, because half of the units in the game are immune to fear anyway, and even those that aren't have ways around failing that fear test.
Yeah.
Like my Necrons, yeah, we're not immune to fear, but we're leadership 10 army-wide. All my Aspect Warriors in my Eldar host are re-rolling on leadership 9, so that's a little lackluster, but the rest of them are really good. Especially if you're passing these on to other demon princes in the same formation as you.
So here's Zinch's ones. I believe this is the best warlord trait. When I glanced them over, these are the best.
Okay, what we got?
So your warlord harnesses the warp on a roll result for 3+ for number 1. Really good. Enemy models reduce their weapon skill, ballistic skill by 1 when targeting your warlords. That's a really good one. We keep yawning. It's contagious between the 2 of us.
Yeah, it is. It's,
so, yeah, -1 ballistic skill and weapon skill to hit your warlords.
That's really good. I mean, imagine you've got Imperial Guardsmen firing las cannons, like a weapon squad, trying to bring down your greater demon of Tzeentch. Suddenly they need 5s to hit him, or your Marines are only hitting half the time. Or, you know, that's really good. And it affects in melee as well, which isn't as big a deal, but it could help in some particular matchups.
If you're fighting weapons with 5 targets, that makes them hit you on 5s. Even worse than that.
Yeah.
Right, onwards. Number 3, add 1 during vulnerable save for your warlord. All friendly units with a Demon of Tzeentch special rule within 9 of him.
That's good.
So yeah, +1 invulnerable to units of Tzeentch and your warlord. Great if you draw that when you're using your 4 demon princes.
Yeah, then suddenly you've got this big buff of everybody is +1 to their invuln.
Number 4, add 1 to your warlord's mastery level. If your warlord is not a psyker, instead gains mastery level 1 and uses discipline of change. So, say you're using that demon cohort, and suddenly your demon prince of Khorne becomes a level 1 psyker using discipline of change.
And that's perfectly legit rules as written. Or more to the point, your
it's a bit of a what the moment.
What level of psyker can the Demon of Tzeentch have normally?
3.
So you can go up to level 4. That's good. And that's an extra level, means an extra power. It means better chance of dispelling. That's solid. I like.
Number 5, your warlord ignores the first perils of the warp and suffers each psychic phase.
That's good. If you've got all those dice, you're going to want to chuck them.
Yeah, if you're summoning, that's really good. So yeah, and number 6, the close combat attacks of your warlord and all friendly units of Tzeentch within 9 have the Soul Blaze special rule. So that's the only naff one out of them. If you're on 6, you're getting Soul Blaze on your melee attacks.
Meh. Most of the
rest of them are amazing.
The Demon Prince in melee are going to. But yeah, those are really good. Just one of the few times you don't want to roll a 6.
Nurgle. Number 1, add 1 to your wound characteristic. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, especially on the formation of 4, because that's 4 extra wounds.
And you're +1 toughness.
And you're already at +1 toughness. So that means you're now at toughness 6, 5 wounds. Or 6 wounds? 5 wounds?
4 for Demon Princes.
4, so they go up to 5. Okay, so that's going to make that formation a hell of a lot survivable.
Each time your warlord suffers a wound in your assault phase, the unit that dealt the wound suffers a strength 1, AP 2, poison 4 plus hit. That's really good.
Yeah, so only a 6 to wound, but then
It's
AP 2.
not poison 4 plus.
Oh, of course, poison 4 plus, so 4 plus to wound at AP 2. So that's basically got a 50-50 chance of hurting anyone who hits you.
They bleed on you. Number 3, enemy units within 7 of your warlord can only fire snapshots when targeting your warlord or his unit. Again, that's really good for your Demon Prince squad. Imagine if your Demon Prince squad got that and they'll fly near you and you're like, brilliant, can only fire snapshots when targeting them.
Nice. Virulent Touch. If a model suffers an unsaved wound from your warlord in the assault phase, it must pass a toughness test at the end of the phase, or suffer 1 additional wound. Armor saves and cover saves cannot be taken. So, I mean, that one isn't so great because, to be honest, if you've started suffering unsaved wounds from a Demon Prince in combat, you've probably not. And it is on a model-by-model basis, not a unit. So, unless you've got a multi-wound character, not as likely to be an issue, but, you know, could help in some of the big fights.
Number 5, your warlord has the Feel No Pain special rule. If your warlord has the Feel No Pain, add 1 to it.
Nice.
So, yeah, Feel No Pain and add 1.
It's always good to get Feel No Pain for free.
Pause. And we're back.
We're back. Sorry, just had to deal with stuff.
Squeechy music.
So yeah, last one. Oh, hang on. Did we go through?
Yeah, we got through
we
there.
went through all the Nurgle ones, so it's just the Slanesh traits to do.
Yeah, enemy units with 7. No, sorry.
No, we have
6
got
Nurgle.
one more Nurgle one to do.
Enemy units with 7 of your warlord suffer an unsaved wound in the shooting phase or assault phase. Suffer additional D6 strength 1 hits at poison 5 plus. Armor saves and cover saves may be taken as normal. Cannot be taken as normal.
Yeah, so basically,
on a 5, you do. So if you wound someone within 7, you take an additional D6 wounds.
Yeah, so basically, if you are within 7 inches and suffer an unsaved wound, you take an additional D6 wounds at strength 5, ignoring armour and cover.
That's really good.
So yeah, that makes him really nasty, especially if you've got a flying Demon Prince or Nurgle like that. You can get him nice and in close.
And if you draw that on the 4 princes.
Oh.
Yeah. And then combo that with the Soul Grainer formation of cause a wound, cause additional wounds, and get to reroll to hit and reroll to wound.
There's a lot of stacking here. I think what you're going to need to do with this book, I think, is pick very cheap core choices and then go stack the benefits from different sections, because I think people are going to want those 4 Demon Princes.
That's
solid.
Sick.
And then nice
Slanesh
models as well.
So, number 1 for Slanesh, your warlord has the hit and run. Oh, sorry, can run and charge. Yeah.
Can run charge, always useful.
It's alright.
And it's his unit as well, so if your warlord is a herald on a steed, that's suddenly a steed unit that can run. And how far can a steed unit run again?
12 inches plus D6, so they can run up to 18.
So they could, in theory, in a single turn, move 12,
run 13 at
13
worst.
at minimum, and then charge 2 at minimum. That means guaranteed first turn charge, basically, if you set it up right. So
that's really good.
That's solid.
In that situation.
Shame they're not the hardest hitting of things, and to be honest, I'd still probably go with the DP, but it's useful.
When fighting in a challenge, your warlord rerolls fail to hit rolls. Meh.
Kind of useful, but most warlords hit on
compared
3+
to the other
anyway.
traits in these lists.
It's
Meh.
subpar. Oh look, Slanesh is getting subpar treatment again.
Number 3. Your warlord and all friendly units with Demon Slanesh special rule reroll failed to hit rolls of 1 in your assault phase.
And that doesn't have a range, so that is all demons of Slanesh.
It's alright.
Reroll 1s to hit. That's solid enough if you've got a lot of Slanesh in your army. Again, they're not great, but that will certainly buff them a lot.
I guess with dropping your opponent's weapon skill, you're hitting on 3s, you're rerolling half your misses.
Decent enough. Not gonna sniff at it.
4. Any wound rolls of 6 made by your warlord have the instant death special rule. Nice, considering the Demon Slanesh gives you rending. A lot of them have rending.
Ah.
So
yeah, the 6s are going to be the important ones anyway.
So if you roll a 6, it becomes AP2.
It's AP2 anyway, he's a Demon Prince.
Yeah, but if it's not on Demon Prince.
True, yeah, if you've not got a Demon Prince as you will. But why would you want something other? Because that formation is so cool. But I'm ranting.
Any to wound rolls made by your warlord.
Yeah.
So it's only a warlord effect. If that spread to a unit, that would be far better and in line with the rest of these traits. Add 1, number 5, add 1 to attack characteristic to your warlord. Meh.
Useful enough, but not amazing.
Number 6, start a fight sub-phase. Each enemy unit locked in combat with your warlord must take a leadership test or reduce its web skill characteristic by 5 to a minimum of 1 to the end of the phase. Demon Prince is a weapon skill 9 already.
Yeah, but it's the whole...
Heralds are around the 6-7 mark.
So yeah, the Slaneshi ones, they're still good. They're probably better than most of the basic ones from the rulebook.
Yeah, they're better than most average warlord traits, but they're nothing compared to these.
Starting to creep up a little bit, but they're not as good as the other gods. So yeah, I still don't think you're going to see Slanesh in the competitive scene.
Right, this is where it gets long.
Okay, so we have
Hellforged artifacts for Khorne, because there's Hellforged artifacts for all the gods.
So this is really nice. Rather than having just a few little artifacts for the whole demon book, we've now got, each god has got their own.
You got 24 artifacts to go through here.
That's a hell of a lot of artifacts. Okay, this is going to be a long night. Get your cup of coffee. Here we go. So the first one is just a blade.
Yeah, 15 points.
+1 strength, AP3, melee, Blade King, specialist weapon. Bearer always hits on a 2+ in challenges. So you're losing the ability to get an extra attack from a second weapon, but to be honest, demons don't rely on that as much as most mortal races anyway.
I wouldn't take it personally.
It's 15 points for essentially a +1 strength power weapon with a buff in the challenge. I think there are better things available, but it's cheap. If your Herald needs a cheap weapon, you've got 15 points left over, why not stick it on? Death Dealer.
It's another 15-point melee weapon. Strength user, AP2. Melee, decapitating blow, searing gore.
Okay, yeah.
Specialist weapon.
So this is a bit better. You've got AP2 on there, which is always
decapitating blow is common. On a 6, you cause instant death. And searing gore. Each time an enemy model is removed as a result of an attack made by this weapon, it immediately the unit immediately suffers D3, Strength 3, AP4 wounds caused
by these wounds caused by these hits are allocated starting with the closest model to the bearer.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically when you kill a guy with this, his blood splats out and does D3, Strength 3, AP4 hits on his unit, which is kind of nice, especially with the base being AP2 and Khorne units often having a high strength. You're gonna...
Sorry, I just read this next one. Yeah, that blade is good. The most expensive one here, 40 points, the Crimson Crown. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of all models of Demon of Khorne special or within 8 inches of the bearer.
When you bear in mind that the Khorne-based formation already adds +1 attack, and
gives you rage from the Loci,
and the Loci gives you rage, which is +2 on the... So that's going to Bloodletters, who are 1 attack base. They're going to get +1 for their formation bonus, +2 attacks on the charge for the Loci, +1 for the Crimson Crown. That means models going from 1 to 5 attacks.
See?
And they have Furious Charge anyway.
1 base, rage, +1/+1. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
That's a lot of attacks. That means...
From a Strength 5 weapon skill 5 power weapon. One of them gets into a 5-man squad and you're saying bye-bye to half your squad.
Squad of that. Say your minimum squad size is what, 10, 8?
8.
8.
In Demons is 10.
Okay, so we'll go Demons because that's how this is going to meant to be used. So that is 10 guys. So that's 50 attacks from 10 guys.
Yeah, nothing survives it. Admittedly, 10 dudes doesn't get very far.
No, but
Downside
you've got 8 units of them.
Yeah.
And they can deep strike and charge the second turn.
So next one, Skull Reaver. It's a 30-point melee weapon. Strength user, AP2, melee.
Anathame.
Anathame and specialist.
Okay, that's interesting because an anathame is the type of sort of cursed weapon that Horus was struck down with that caused him to turn traitor back in the heresy novels. What does the rule actually do here, though?
On a roll of 6, to hit rolls of 6 are strength D instead of normal weapon skill. Normal strength.
So if you roll a 6 to hit, which you're going to get at some point, you're hitting with D, and that's so. If you get lucky, you could start knocking Titans on their ass with this weapon.
Yeah, that's quite funny. It's 30 points, but.
But then, what would you expect from a rule that's named after the weapon that struck down the War Master?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Karoth?
Kargaroth the Bloodhunger.
25 points, melee weapon again. +1 strength, AP3, melee, Shredder of Time?
Sunderer of Time. When a model with this, when a model suffers an unsaved wound from this weapon, it's removed from play, but make a note of where the model was at the start of each of his turns. The controlling player rolls a dice. On a 4 or more, the model re-enters play by deep strike anywhere within 12 inches of the point where it was removed. If the game ends before the model is returned to play in this manner, it counts. Okay, so basically when you suffer a wound from this, if you're not obviously automatically killed by it, you are knocked into the warp and continue to sit there till your opponent can roll a 4+ at the start of his turn.
So it's like, bam, off the table with you.
25 points. I'm not sure.
That's funny.
That's funny.
It's a gimmick weapon.
Yeah, it's a fun gimmick weapon, and probably not the most competitive, but it's kind of nice to literally knock someone into next week.
Last one, Armour of Scorn. It's 30 points.
What, you mean this one isn't a weapon?
Yeah,
it's an armour. Okay.
It is actually armour. Confers a 3+ armour save and adamantium will special rule. So, +1 to deny the witch and a 3+ armour.
And reduce the strength characteristic of any attacks of the bearer by 1.
Yeah.
And that doesn't specify melee, so that's effectively +1 toughness because it knocks your opponent's strength by 1 and gives you a 3+ armour and adamantium will. So that's decent. Yeah, 30 points, +1 toughness. Yeah, I'll go with that. Especially on a model that's already got a very high toughness, like a Bloodthirster or a DP. You know, that's,
even on a Herald, that's pretty useful.
Yeah, because a Herald's what, T4?
Yeah.
So that makes him T5, which makes a big difference against stuff like Bolter Fire.
Right. Next block of Hellforged artifacts is the Zinch
Now
ones.
let's flick back. So the Khorne ones, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 6 funky swords and some armour. So
you've got 4 funky swords and some armour and a crown.
Oh yeah, it's a crown, yeah.
The crown's really good.
Yeah, the crown I like. I could totally see that working with...
It's 40 points though.
But it's +1 attack on every Khorne model within 8 inches.
And with the synergy of wanting to keep people within 6 and 12, 8's not too hard.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
you know, in a small game, give that to your Herald in your core formation and boom.
what time are we at?
I have no idea. I can't see the clock from here. Oh, it's not late at all. We can crack on. Hellforged Artifacts of Zinch.
Right.
Paradox. This is a melee weapon again. It's
25 points.
25 points. It's only AP4 strength user. Melee concussive. Warp contradiction. Once per turn, when taking a psychic test, the bearer can pick up and turn all the dice he has rolled to their opposite side instead. For example, 5 becomes 3, 1. 5 goes, okay, yeah. 5 and 3 and 1, he could turn them to a 2, a 4 and a 6 respectively. Thereby harnessing. Okay, so basically you get to cheat the dice.
You flip the dice basically.
You flip the dice, so a 6 would become a 1 and 1 would become a 6, but you have to do it with all the dice. It's a bit tricksy, a bit zinchy.
That could be very funny. I've rolled crap tons of 1s. Perils. Oh well. I ignore the first perils because of my warlord trait.
Oh well. Yeah, that's useful enough, but
it's a crap melee weapon.
It's a crap weapon.
but funky psychic shenanigans.
To be honest, I think Tzeentch has got better ways of making psychic work, but you know, troll your opponent. The Endless Grimoire. If your warlord generates all his powers from the disciplines of change, if your warlord generates all his powers from the disciplines of change, he knows all. Oh, I see. Yeah. So if he chooses only Tzeentch powers, he knows all the Tzeentch powers. He's basically got the textbook there in front of him, like we kind of have here. Except he's actually a decent psyker, and we can barely predict what I'm going to say next, let alone the future.
So yeah, useful powers are alright.
35 points though. It's kind of nice though. You get a lot of powers there.
Soul Banes, 15 points. Strength user, AP star. Melee incorporeal. Fleshbane.
So you got Fleshbane weapons, so you're wounding on 2+, but no AP. But what's this incorporeal rule? The weapon has an AP value equal to the target's initiative. Against targets with initiative characters higher than 6, it's AP dash. Against vehicles, it's AP. Well, okay, that's pretty cool. So your AP is equal to your initiative.
Great when you're fighting orcs, not so great when you're fighting Eldar.
Yeah, so Eldar don't care too much for that, but
great when you're fighting Necrons.
And against vehicles, it's AP1. So that means +2 on the damage chart. So that's useful if you want your Tzeentch Warlord to come up and whack a tank out of the park.
What we got?
The Oracular Dais. Oracular Dais. So it's a disc of Tzeentch.
It's a 35-point upgrade.
Okay.
It's a disc of Tzeentch at the start of your turn. Choose one friendly unit with the Chaos Demon faction that is in reserve to automatically pass the reserve roll. No roll needed.
That could certainly do some interesting shenanigans with deep striking units, because
deep striking and instruments, yeah, you can get 2 in for that if you pay the extra.
Force
10
the
points.
Instrument in, and then the deep, and then the next.
Because it's automatically pass rather than automatically arrives.
Yeah.
You need to pass a roll, a reserve roll, for that instrument to work.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, so it's automatic pass, so that's good, yeah. How much is a disc normally?
15 points.
Okay, so you're only paying, if you're going to take a disc anyway, 20 points extra to have an auto pass every turn. Yeah, it's decent. The Impossible Robe, 25 points. 3+ Invuln save. However, each time the wearer suffers an unsaved wound, he must take a leadership test or be removed from play. Okay, so that is probably better on a high leadership model. I wouldn't risk it on a Herald, but it's certainly an interesting way to keep a Demon Prince or a Lord of Chicken alive.
Lord of Chicken, the Turkey Demon. Right, last one, the Everstave.
Everstave, okay, 20 points. This seems to have both a melee and a template range. So the template first is Strength 5 AP 3, heavy one. So it's a heavy flamer with Soul Blaze and Warp Flame.
Nice. And Strength user AP 4, melee Soul Blaze, Warp Flame for the combat version.
Kind of useful, but it's a heavy weapon, so
20 points for an AP 3 heavy flamer.
Probably not.
It's alright.
Oh, I suppose the AP3 is useful. Yeah, I didn't see that actually, AP3. So that's decent. Put that on a Demon Prince.
Yeah,
have him flying around, blasting out, because he doesn't care about the heavy, because he's a monster.
Yeah.
So he can fire out flamer templates. Useful, kind of almost have him as a mini Helldrake.
Yeah, mini Helldrake.
But he can also throw out a bunch of psychic powers.
Right, talking of psychic powers, we're on to them.
Now this is interesting, because
Discipline of Change.
From what I understand, there's 3 new powers in addition to what was already there.
Yeah, it's a big upgrade. So they've sorted out the flickering fire of Tzeentch, the Primaris. 1 to 3 warp charges. Choose what you're casting on before you cast.
Like you'd have to do with Eldritch Storm.
Yeah. And Strength 5 AP 4, so it is Strength 5, as I mentioned earlier, so it could get up to Strength 7 with all the buffs. 24-inch range, Assault 2d6, Soul Blaze and Warp Flame. And for each level higher you cast over 1, you get an additional d6.
So, although the base stat reads Strength 5 AP 4 Assault 2d6, you could potentially be looking more like Strength 7 AP 4 Assault 4d6. if you buff it right and cast it at the high level. So that's nice. That's going to kill a lot of light infantry.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And 24-inch range is good because you don't want to get too close. And that's what the flamers come with as standard, isn't it?
Pink Horrors.
Pink Horrors, yeah.
So, number 1, Tzeentch's Firestorm, Warp Charge 1, 24-inch range, Strength D6 plus 1, AP dash, Assault 1, Blast, Warp Flame.
It's a small random strength blast.
No AP. It's alright.
Yeah, it's
I wouldn't say no to it.
alright for a 1 warp charge power, but there's better things out there.
I think that's the same as the one in the Chaos book.
I would switch that for the Primaris if I wasn't having Psychic Focus.
Bolt of Change is a beam weapon, 24-inch range, Strength D6 plus 4, AP2, Assault 1, Warp Flame.
That's good.
That's really good.
AP2 on a beam is real, especially with
A
vehicles.
little bit random on the strength, so you only ever fire at infantry.
Yeah, but I mean, you can average out 3 if you can get into the side of a vehicle squadron.
Yeah.
You know, like the most commonly squadron vehicles these days are Predators and Vindicators, which are only 11 on the side. You could make a mess. You got AP2, you can make a mess of Terminators.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
it's all right.
Terminators? Who runs
It's only
Terminators?
it's only Warp Charge 1.
Yeah, easy to cast.
Tzeentch's Warp Flare.
Yeah.
It's a Nova, 9-inch range, Strength D6, AP4, Assault 2d6, Ignore Cover and Warp Flame. It's a random strength, 9-inch Nova. It does 2d6 hits.
You can roll a 4+ reliably, that's decent.
It's no Cleansing Flame, but it's good.
Yeah, and it's only Warp Charge 1 again.
Ignore Cover's nice.
I'm really liking seeing all these Warp Charge 1s, because playing Eldar, I'm used to most of my book having Warp Charge somewhere between 2 and 4, so 1 looks nice and easy to cast to me.
Right. Number 4, Boon of Flame.
Okay, scrap that
Charge
out, this is 2 to 3 on the Warp Charge.
Boon of Flame is Conjuration with a range of 12 inches. If you manifest with 2 warp charges, create 1 Exalted Flame of Tzeentch. Alternatively, you can attempt to manifest with 3 warp charges. Decide before rolling. If you instead choose to do this, you can choose one from the following: 3 Flames of Tzeentch, 1 Burning Chariot of Tzeentch.
So you've got a nice little extra summoning power there, which is
1
nice
out of 6 is alright. Be alright if you had some way to get all the psychic powers. Oh wait, there's
yes.
Grimoire.
So you take the Endless Grimoire, and then you've got a character with a mass ton of firepower, literally.
And a summoning.
And a summoning. So you don't have to rely on Demonology if you want to summon spam, although I think people will still like Demonology because of summoning spam.
Right, number 5, Infernal Gate, 18-inch range, Witchfire, Strength D6 plus 4, AP1, Assault 1, Blast.
An AP1 blast?
At least Strength 5, AP1.
Yeah, that's...
Up to Strength 6, up to Strength 10.
I tell you what, Terminators, I mean, they don't deep strike anyway, but if they still did, they wouldn't be deep striking anywhere near this. Because they're a nice little tight cluster of Terminators, and boom, and they're gone.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
And number 6, Infernal Gateway is Warp Charge 2.
Yeah, this is Prismatic Gaze.
It's Warp Charge 3. 18-inch range, Strength D, AP1, Assault 1. I will mention all these psychic powers have Warp Flame.
Except that one, but to be honest, if you've been hit by a D weapon, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so you get a D there.
You can get the D, and you can reliably get the D because of the Endless Grimoire, and you've got that on an 18-inch range, ballistic skill 5 probably at least.
Not on a Herald, but on a Demon Prince
on a
Plus,
DP, yeah. So that's
that's really good.
So
the Warp Flame
brings the
rules
firepower.
here. Let's read the Warp Flame rule for those who don't know. At the end of the phase, a unit that suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds during the phase from an attack with this special rule, or from a model that made an attack with this special rule, must make a toughness test. If the test is failed, the unit immediately suffers D3 wounds with no armor or cover saves allowed. If the test is passed, the unit gains Feel No Pain 6+ special rule for the rest of the game. Any unit that already has Feel No Pain instead gains +1 to the roll, +1 to their Feel No Pain roll for the rest of the game.
Chaos is fickle.
It does say at the end, chaos is fickle.
Literally, some of these, if they don't kill the whole unit, there is a risk they might actually become tough to kill. It is only...
Brilliant if you fight Necrons. Oh, you've got feel no pain.
Necrons can't worry about it, and Eldar tend to fail toughness tests, but certain stuff like Marines, Wraithguard, they're not gonna care about getting hit by that. Yeah, I'll pass my toughness test. Oh look, +1 to my feel no pain, and I don't see any reason why that wouldn't stack.
It doesn't. It does, yeah. So I keep hitting you with Warflame weapons. Admittedly, it's at the end of the phase, so you can only gain 1 feel no pain per phase.
But that's a psychic phase, a shooting phase, and a melee phase.
Yeah, so you could get feel no pain 4+ technically in 1 turn. But I'm pretty sure I would have killed you by then if you have it.
Yeah, chances are, unless you've got some sort of resistance to flaming attacks. Maybe I should be bringing my salamanders back out, we shall see. But yeah, anyway, that's, yeah, Tzeentch is a bit fickle, but a lot of firepower. You could blast opponents off the board in the psychic phase. Yes, that was intentional, well spotted. Right,
Hellforged Artifacts of Nurgle. I'm looking forward to these ones, I haven't read them through yet, but Nurgle's one of the other gods I would like to do. So,
the Grotty of Nurglings. Grotty the Nurgling. Okay, so this is a little pet, basically.
He's 40 points. 40-point Nurgling.
Flipping
Reducing toughness characteristics of all models, friendly or foe, by 1.
While they remain within 6 of a model accompanied by Grotty the Nurgling, unless they have Demons of Nurgle. Okay, so you have a 6-inch bubble from your character of -1 toughness to all enemy units, which is really good because
it's really good considering all your weapons have poison. You're only strength 4, so you're instant death and toughness 3 models, and then we run into wound toughness 4 models. And if they fail that leadership test on the formation and get an additional -1 toughness, they're toughness 1! Toughness 1!
Toughness 1 Space Marine! So that's really cool, I like that, I think a lot, and I think that's a fun little modelling conversion to make Grotty the Nurg. I'm not going to read all his fluff, but he's got a nice paragraph of fluff there.
That's one stinky Nurgling.
Yeah. I had a customer at work the other day who was like that.
He's 40 points. It's a bit pricey, but nice. Next one's just called Corruption. Alright, 25 points. Strength Star, no AP, melee, Hyper Infection, and Touch of Rust. That's an old rule.
Okay, so Hyper Infection, any unit any hits inflicted by this weapon automatically cause a wound.
There's no need to roll.
Flipping X, that's auto wound.
Use the bearer's strength characteristic as normal for purposes of armor penetration on vehicles, determining the target's toughness for instant death.
Okay.
Touch of Rust. Any weapons with a special rule cause glancing hits or...
Glancing hits on an armor penetration roll of 6 unless it would have otherwise caused a penetrating hit. They got Gauss melee weapons, that's useful. But this Hyper Infection, that means you don't care about toughness, you just auto wound, auto wound, auto wound.
It's really good against like Wraith Knights, and if you put it on a monster.
And that's only 25 points. 25 points to auto wound. Now it doesn't have an AP, which is the risk here.
That's why you put it on a monster, so it gains AP too.
Exactly. Boom. There we go. Dealt with.
Horn of Nurgle's Rot. 35 points.
I think I got some pills for that at work.
Yeah. After resolving the bearer's close combat attacks, add 1 to the model. Add 1 model to a friendly unit of plague bearers within 12 of the bearer for each model that was slain.
The model must be placed so it's incoherent, more than 1 inch away from enemy models. Any model that cannot be replaced. So basically,
you create zombies. I stab you, I gain a model. I stab you, I gain a model.
Kill. So again, you want to probably put this on your DP or your Great Unclean One. With any mod, yeah, basically you just add 1 to any friendly unit of plague bearers within 12. So you're just turning them into plague bearers. So run into a soft unit and
think you
make
charge
bearers.
A Nurgle Demon Prince with this weapon into a unit.
Say Space Marines.
Say Space Marines, yeah. There's 5 Space Marines there. I can easily wipe that out. 5 attacks base, 1 on the charge. And if I'm minusing 1 to your toughness, you're instant deathing.
Now with these, are these the type that you can take multiples of on a character?
No, this is Hellforge artifacts, so these are rare.
So you can only have one of, so you can't stack
Have
the best
one
buff
per-
of one with another. Can't have more than one per model. Okay, so you can only have one of these per model, so you couldn't stack that with corruption, but you know, it's certainly a good option. Okay, yeah, so but still, you're making free models, and resilient free models at that, you know.
Yeah, you can have multiple of the Hellforge artifacts, but not the same Hellforge artifact twice.
Yeah, but you can't have multiples on one model.
Yeah, you can.
But a model can't have more than one Hellforged artifact of any type.
Of any type.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't have more than one of them, but hey, they're all decent by the looks of it. You just got to pick which one you like. Okay.
Well, to be honest, you put that on one model and you put that on another.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so Epidemia. Again, that's
sounds
another...
like something you need a suppository for.
So that has that's
20 points.
It's a 20-point melee weapon, +1 strength.
AP dash, melee...
Mass contagion, specialist weapon. Okay, so mass contagion. Each time a model is removed as a result of an attack made by this weapon, its unit must immediately pass a toughness test or suffer an additional wound with no armor saves or cover saves allowed. Okay, that's cool. So again, because this has no AP, you're going to want to put it on your Demon Prince. You're not going to want to stick these on your Herald because he's not going to kill anything because they're going to pass the saves. But Mass Contagion is basically every kill you make, pass the toughness test or you make another kill.
Yeah.
The Doomsday Bell. 30 points.
I'm totally seeing some Skaven Bell versions here.
Oh yeah, why not? Give you a great unclean one, a little Skaven Plague Bell to hold in one hand. That's nice.
Doomsday Bell is an instrument of chaos, so you get to pull in another unit. Whilst the bearer is on the battlefield, add 1.
Subtract 1.
Subtract 1 to leadership characteristics for all enemy units.
That's pretty good. Most armies need leadership in some regard.
Guess mixing that with formation, if you put that on a herald, give them an instrument, and then you get -1 to leadership, and then you get
Okay, so that's pretty cool actually.
It works well in tandem with other things you can have.
Which is what I'm really seeing with this chaos stuff. Is
it works well in...
Each buff is okay, and then you stick them all together and it's really quite scary.
Yeah. Synergy.
We like synergy.
Death Heads of Duke... Olax. 15 points. Big fluff section. Range 12. Strength 1. AP 4. Assault 1. Large Blast. 1 use only. Poison 2+.
So you got a 1 use only. Wounds on a 2+. AP 4. Large Blast. Only a 12-inch range.
15 points. It's not that bad.
It is Herald of Nurgle only, this little note here, so you can't put that on a DP. But, you know, have your Herald deep strike in, nice and close.
That's just a
chuck out a large pie plate, wounds practically everyone under it.
He goes a warrior on you and farts. So yeah, it's just like, bam.
Boom.
Done.
Bish bash bosh. Jolly good done.
Right, the psychic powers.
So yeah, Nurgle is another of the psychic chaos gods, and he's, like everyone else, got himself some new powers.
So, the Primaris, Stream of Corruption, Warp Charge 1, Template, Strength Dash, AP 3, Assault 1, Poison 4+.
Nice, very solid power.
Poison 4+ Flamer. With AP 3.
AP 3 is great. AP 3 is that magic number where you're wounding Marines without a save. AP 3 is so key in this game.
Yeah. Number 1, the
debilitating distension. Debilitating distension.
So it's a malediction, targets a single enemy unit with 24. Whilst the power is in effect, the target unit cannot run, form sweep in advance, or fire Overwatch.
Yeah, useful enough.
It's alright, but your core formation denies Overwatch already.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess if you're mixing your core formation with other auxiliaries, then it's useful because you can be like, bam, there's no Overwatch.
Yeah, and no running, kind of, if you've got a unit that relies on running. So, Wulfen. Wulfen are a great example of a unit that likes to run because they can run charge. This could screw them over, and you know, they're in the same book. So that's like, I think GW are quite liking the idea of us playing the missions from here, which I really am going to have a look at sometime.
Yeah. Second one is Plague Wind, Warp Charge 1. So this is in the Chaos Marine book.
Yeah.
But it was higher Warp Charge in there. Witchfire, 12-inch range, Strength 1, AP 2, Assault 1, Large Blast, Poison 4+.
Okay, so ignore that Strength 1. It's the poison that we want here. Poison 4+.
4+ to wound, AP 2, Large Blast.
That's
so it's the same as the Death Heads of Duke Oleg.
Yeah.
So you drop down, you punk out a Plague Winged, and then you chuck out a head.
But the Plague Wind has a much better AP.
AP 2, yeah.
So
Large
that's a
Blast.
Terminator killer.
It's only 12-inch range.
So,
but Warp Charge 1, it's...
Yeah, it's an easy... And I think a lot of the Nurgle ones require short range, but that's fine, because most of the Nurgle units are melee only, so you're going to want to get
I can imagine playing Nurgle much like my KDK run, with lots of deep striking.
Yeah, that would actually work really nicely. And they're more resilient.
Yeah.
And yeah,
they
can
hit quite as hard, and they're not quite as fast as the Stun Powerful,
but they can deep strike down and fart in your face.
Yes. Miasma of Pestilence.
Okay, it's a blessing, targets the Psyker. At the start of the fight sub-phase, while this power is in effect, roll a d3. Until the end of the phase, all enemy units locked in combat suffer a penalty to their weapon skill and initiative equal to the result. So basically minus d3
It's
weapons.
a malediction that's a debuff.
It's a blessing that debuffs your opponent.
Yeah, it's a blessing, but it affects your opponent. So not only are you not targeting your opponent so they don't get denied a witch improvement,
yep,
but it also affects them.
That's nice. Minus d3 on weapon skill initiative combined with... Is there another thing in there that no, that's minus is something else.
Well, that's the thing. You can be -1 toughness, then additional -1 toughness, -1 strength, and then you've got additional d3 -1 to initiative and weapon skill. You're going to be fighting weapon skill 1, strength 1, weapon skill 1 guys.
Yeah, Nurgle doesn't care that Plague Bearers are only average stats, because your opponent's going to have no stats left.
Yeah.
Just remove them all. That's cool.
That's also Warp Charge 1.
Again, nice and easy to get off.
Number 4, Rancid Visitations. Warp Charge 2. It's a Nova with a range of 12. Targets... Each target unit must pass a toughness test or suffer a wound with no armor saves or cover saves allowed. If a model is slain, its unit must pass another toughness test or suffer a wound with no armor saves or cover saves allowed. Repeat this process until the toughness test is passed or the unit is destroyed.
Oh,
Take toughness tests until you die.
my Eldar aren't liking this. We don't like toughness tests. Neither
It's alright.
Yeah.
Warp Charge 2, and half the time your opponent's just going to go, yep, done.
Yeah, but the thing is, because it's a Nova with a 12-inch range, we already said that Nurgle are probably going to want a deep strike. You get 2 or 3 enemy units within range of that. That's 2 or 3 units having to take this process.
Yeah, you might take 1 or 2 models off. It's not a massive killer.
It's got the potential, though, to run rampant if your opponent sucks at his toughness test.
Oh, if you drop that in range of grots. Ha!
And I'm sure there's another way to drop your toughness down, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So if
40 points if you're only 6, the
Grotty the Nurgling.
-1 to your toughness, which is brilliant with that.
Yeah, stick him near some guardsmen and then pop this power. Ooh, that's dirty.
Yeah. Keep rolling until you roll a 2 or 1.
Final decomposition.
So it's a focused Witchfire, Warp Charge 2. So really you need Warp Charge 3 to get it off any decently. 12-inch range, Strength Star, AP 2, Assault 1, Ignore Cover, Instant Death, Internal Liquefaction. Internal Liquefaction?
Okay, that's a new rule. Instead of rolling to wound normally for a model hit by this attack, the controlling player must roll a d6. If the result is higher than the number of wounds the target has remaining, it suffers 1 wound resolved using the profile above, which basically means it suffers instant death because the profile above includes instant death. So you take a wounds test.
Yeah.
That's
really
new.
good. It's like, oh, your Wraith Knight rolled a 6, did it?
Oh. That's yeah, that's nasty, but
Yeah, that's quite a good one.
we like that, and especially for killing high toughness, low wound characters. I mean, Centurion.
High warp charge value though.
Yeah, you could do that, or for like a unit of, say you got Centurions, because you're AP2, so, and you're insta-deck. You just pick any one of the 3 Centurions, you only have to get it off on 2 and you'll kill one of them. And that's certainly a worthwhile power, I like it.
And then Pestilence Variety?
Pustulent Vitality. It's a warp charge 1 to 3. It's a blessing that targets a single friendly unit that has to have the Demons of Nurgle special rule. 24-inch range is nice. Each time the power is used, choose your casting value 1, 2 or 3. While the power is in effect, add 1 to the toughness characteristic of all models in the target unit for each point of warp charge spent.
So if you manifest it on 3, suddenly your Plague Bearer is toughness 7, your opponent's strength 2.
Okay,
yeah,
so
alright.
Nurgle screws with you. Nurgle really wants to screw with you. But I could really see a high-powered Nurgle-based Psyker really kicking some butt with these.
It's whether you can get enough Psykers into the list to make all the debuffs and draw all the debuffs and get all the effective gear into position at the right time to debuff enough of your opponent's army to make a difference.
That's true. Nurgle's going to require a bit of finesse to play, which is strange for such a stinky, postulant army, but finesse is going to be a thing here. Okay, the last one now, thanks for sticking with us. Hellforged Artifacts of Slaanesh.
Last 2 pages. Oh no, we've got one more page after
I'm
this.
waiting to see the dildo of Slaanesh as an item here. Sorry kids, don't ask what a dildo is, you didn't hear that.
Ask your parents.
No, don't ask your parents. And it was him who said it, not me. If
Yeah, go
asks.
and ask your parents if you ask.
Soul Stealer. So this is a melee weapon.
20
points. Strength user AP3, so it's a power weapon. Soul Greed. Each time a model is removed as a casualty as a result of an attack made by this weapon, the bearer immediately gains a wound. Okay, so it's basically a vampiric power sword. That's kind of nice.
Alright, and a bigger model.
Silver's Hard. 30 points. Strength user AP3. Melee Blade Blitz. Bearer adds +2 to the attack characteristic. Okay. So it's a +2 attack power weapon. Yeah, I'd take that, yeah.
I'll stick on a Herald.
Slothful Claw, 10 points. Model equipped with this makes a close combat attack. Roll one of its attacks separately with the following profile. Strength +2, AP2, melee rending specialist weapon. Okay, so it's
naff, but it's 10 points.
It's 10 points. It's one attack, an AP2. To be honest, why not just have something that makes all your attacks AP2, like being a demon?
The Forbidden Gem, 15 points. At the start of the fight sub-phase, after any challenges have been issued and accepted, but before any blows are struck, a model involved in a challenge with the bearer must roll 3d6 and subtract their leadership characteristic from the total roll. That model suffers a penalty to their weapon skill and initiative characteristic equal to the result, minimum of 1, for the rest of the phase. That's alright, but considering that Heralds of Slaanesh are already really high weapon skill, really high initiative.
Yeah, not ideal. It's probably
Same
not.
with Demon Princes.
I think if I had 15 points to spare, I would find something else.
Yeah.
I'd actually prefer the Slothful Claw, because at least it gives you an AP2 attack.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good.
The Whip of Agony.
Oh, this is getting a bit 50 Shades, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Strength user AP5, melee agonizing. Reroll failed to wounds.
Anyone who suffer any unsafe wounds.
So a model that suffers unsafe wounds cannot make attacks for the rest of the fight sub-phase. Okay, so that's kind of cool. You can stop your opponent attacking, and you're Slaanesh, so you are hitting
Demon
before.
Prince.
But to be honest,
on a Demon Prince, that AP2 on a Demon Prince.
Yeah, exactly. The AP5's a bit naff, but stick it on a DP, and then you've got a decent enough weapon there. So that's cool enough.
Like, bam, you can't attack me. Oh. My turn. Bam, you can't attack me.
Although, again, if you've been attacked by a Demon Prince, you're going to be alive to attack anyway.
They only have 5 attacks. They do punk a lot of damage, but...
Mask of Excess.
15 points. At the end of each fight subways in which you bear a slay, the monstrous creature or character, add 1 to the characteristic for the rest of the game. Attack characteristic for the rest of the game.
Now that's got a little note. That can only be taken by a Keeper of Secrets, Demon Prince or Herald, so all the guys that would normally take it anyway. Okay, so that's cool. If you kill a monster or a character, you add +1 to your attack. And that could potentially stack if you go on a little bit of a rampage and start killing a character a turn in the challenge. That's certainly an interesting option. Better than some of the other 15-point items Slaanesh can have.
Right, psychic powers. So they got a new list.
Again, everyone's got a new list, and they're up to the full 6 now, starting off with Lash of Slaanesh.
Yep, the Primaris, 1 warp charge, it's a beam, 24-inch range, strength 6, AP dash, assault 1, rending. It's nice.
Decent enough, but you know, a strength 6 rending beam at 24 inches. Not as good as Lash of Slaanesh used to be, when you could move units around with it, and you know, put them all in a nice teardrop shape, and then move your flamethrowers up and burn them all. But you know, it's useful.
Number 1, Acquiescence, warp charge 1. Acquiescence is a malediction and targets a single enemy unit of an 18. Target unit suffers -5 penalty to its initiative, and can neither make use of counterattack or Overwatch. It's alright.
Yeah,
the lack of Overwatch and counterattack is okay, but the -5 initiative, again, Demonites are already initiative ridiculous.
Yeah, say you'd have to be a really high initiative to actually care about that. I mean, some Eldar Phoenix Lords, I guess a lot of Eldar melee units, but they'd get pwned by Demonettes in combat anyway. Lilith Hesperax would care about this.
Yeah, so not amazing, but not overwatching is useful.
Yeah, certainly not overwatching is nice, because there's some decent Overwatch. I mean, Tau like it, Salamanders like it because of all the flame weapons, Eldar Dire Avengers like it because they do it at a higher ballistic skill.
So yeah, for the not overwatching it's useful. Number 2, Purveying of Slaanesh, warp charge 1. It's a focused witchfire, range 24. Target must pass the leadership test or suffer a wound with no armor saves or cover saves allowed. If the target is slain, randomly select another model in the unit. That model must pass the leadership test or suffer a wound with no armor saves or cover saves allowed. If that model is slain, randomly select another model from this. Wow, it goes on until and keep repeating basically.
So basically, it's take a leadership test or suffer a wound. If you die, another dude takes a leadership test or suffers a wound, and this carries on till you pass that fucking leadership test, or you're all dead. The only problem is I don't see anything to particularly debuff leadership in Slaanesh.
No.
If they had a way to debuff leadership, that would be a really good power, but you know, it's warp charge 1. You could start bursting through Orc or Tyrannid units with that.
So what's that?
Maniacal Fervour. So that's a blessing that's a warp charge 1, 24-inch range blessing. The unit, hang on, it's a blessing that immediately causes D6 strength 3 hits. However, whilst the power is in effect, the unit has Furious Charge, Rage and Zealot.
I guess that makes up for being warp charge 1.
So you hit one of your own units.
You hurt yourself, but gain Furious Charge, Rage and Zealot.
Very
so,
Slaanesh.
Rerolling to hit, additional strength, additional attacks. It's alright.
Yeah, actually
warp
makes
charge
Demon
1
X
is
useful.
why it's got the downside. If it was warp charge 2, it would have the painful side of it.
But it wouldn't be Slaanesh if it didn't have the pain.
Number 4,
Phantasmagoria.
Phantasmagoria is a malediction that targets a single enemy unit with an 18. Whilst the power is in effect, each time the unit wishes to make one of the following actions: move, manifest a psychic power, run, shoot, charge, make a consolidation or fire Overwatch. It must pass a leadership test or be unable to do so. If the test is failed, the unit can still attempt to perform an alternative action in the same phase. For example, the unit that fails to shoot can then take a leadership test and instead run.
Okay, so this
So it's like a poor man's domination.
Yeah, it can still screw over units if they've got low leadership.
It's warp charge 1, so
again, it's all right. This is what we're seeing with the Slanesh stuff. It's all right. It's just not as good as Zeech and Nurgle and Khorne.
So far, there's 4 of the psychic powers which are all right, and the artifacts are all okay. But compared to the rest of the book, they're really underdone.
Slicing shards.
So first warp charge 2 power. It's a Witchfire, range 24, strength 4, AP 4, assault 1, large blast, soul 3. Soul 3. After resolving this attack, units that were fully or partially beneath the blast marker must pass a leadership test or immediately suffer D6 strength 4, AP 4 hits. For warp charge 2, AP 4, strength 4.
Yeah.
Bloody Nurgle got a strength poison 4 plus AP 2.
Yeah.
Strength 4, AP 4. Nah.
Yeah, that's a little bit underwhelming again. I mean, it's large blast, which is nice, but it's only going to be effective against really Xenos and Guard. Against Space Marines, Chaos Marines, etc. You're gonna bounce off the armour.
Yeah. And number 6, Cacophonic Choir. Warp charge 2. Cacophonic Choir is a Nova power, the range 12. For each unit in range, roll 2d6 and subtract the leadership. Unit suffers a number of wounds equal to the result with no armor saves or cover saves allowed. After resolving any wounds, the target unit must take a penning test.
So it's got better effective area than Psychic Shriek.
Yeah, Cacophonic Choir has always been good.
But for a weaker effect, because it's only a 2d6 rather than a 3d6, I would prefer to have the much better chance of doing damage than
So what we're saying is we wouldn't take this psychic list.
No, I think if you want to play a Slanesh Psyker, you're better off going for one of the more generic power lists.
Yeah.
For example, Malefic Demonology, because you can summon.
Going back, we've got Khorne's artifacts. Very attacky, very combat-y. There's a few buffs in there.
But it's mostly about hit your opponent round the head with a big metal stick.
Yeah, I mean the Crimson Crown had +1 to attack rolls within 8 inches. Oh,
nice,
sorry, attack characteristic.
Points. Yeah.
40 points. And then you've got the Armor of Scorn, which -1 to your opponent's strength when they're hitting you, which helps with instant death.
Yeah.
And feeling pain and whatnot.
And it's range and melee, so you know it's got some uses there.
Oh, sorry,
armor. So it affects range and melee attacks. Yeah.
And then you've got a decent array of weapons.
Basically, if you want a sword for something, Khorne's probably got a sword that will do that job.
Zinch's stuff, all his artifacts have use.
Yeah, and his psychic
really
powers are mentally potential. They just burn away
they're
your
all
opponents.
Witchfires apart from one. Yeah. One's a beam, one's Witchfire, beam, Nova, Conjuration, Witchfire, Witchfire. So he's very aggressive and with good artifacts.
Yep.
Nurgle's artifacts I really like, but they're also, you'd have to work with them to know how to get them into the right situation.
Yeah, Nurgle, I think,
finesse with it.
Nurgle's strong, but this book with Nurgle presents a bit of a challenge as to how to get the most out of that strength. I think potential to be the strongest of the gods if used correctly.
Yeah,
but it's gonna
one of those,
take an experienced player.
If you get an experienced or a experience with it, or a
very
tactic,
well practiced tactic
that works, then it will run so smoothly and amazingly well. So
why am I foreseeing you having lots and lots of flies on your painting table soon?
And his psychic powers are really good.
Yeah, they sort of screw you over for the impending combat.
Yeah, so I really like Nurgle here. Not quite as hard hitting as Khorne,
but a lot more survivable.
Yeah, so if I were going to run this, it would be Nurgle.
Yeah.
Slanesh, subpar.
Yeah, Slanesh is just
like the artifacts and the psychic powers.
I suppose if you love Slanesh and you want a challenge, there's certainly stuff in here you can work with, but it's going to be an uphill struggle. You're not going to be looking at
they're not the best parts
level.
of the codexes. Last thing is the new Chaos data cards, which I still need to buy. So you replace your first 6.
So this is the standard that everybody gets with the new tactical objectives replacing 1 to 6.
So First one.
Delight in Despair.
Score 1 victory point at the end of your turn if at least one enemy unit failed a fear or morale check in the assault phase that turn. If at least one such unit was locked in combat with a friendly unit of demons of Slaanesh, score 2 victory points instead.
Okay, so the idea here, which I think is going to be a recurring theme, is there's a certain way to score it, but then if you do it with the appropriate god, in this case Slaanesh, you're going to be doing it better. So this is just failed.
Encouraging mixing of your units.
Yeah, to get the most out of this, you would need a very pantheistic list.
The Circle of Life.
Cycle of Life, not the Circle of Life. This isn't the Lion King.
Cycle of Life. This is going to be a Nurgle one.
Yep.
Score 1 victory point at the end of your turn if at least one enemy unit was completely destroyed during your turn. If at least one such unit was completely destroyed by a friendly unit with Demon Nurgle special rules, score 2 victory points.
So that's really easy to achieve. Just kill something, but for better results, kill something with a Demon of Nurgle.
Here's the Zinch one. Score 1 victory point at the end of your turn if at least one friendly model was successfully manifested as psychic power during your turn. If one such model had a Demon Zinch special rules, score 2 victory points. So it's like Harness the Warp, but if you've got Zinch models, score twice. Yay!
The glory of Khorne!
That's not Khorne at all. Score 1 victory point at the end of the turn if at least one enemy character model was killed in an enemy challenge?
If one of your character models killed an enemy in a challenge.
So if you kill a character in a challenge, score a victory point. If it was with Khorne, score 2.
And that's where Khorne wants to be, so you know, this works really well with that quad demon prince formation, because then you guarantee having something of each.
In the right position as well.
Yeah.
The Domain of Chaos.
Dominion of Chaos.
Dominion of Chaos. Score D3 victory points at the end of your turn if you control more objective markers than your opponent. With that corrupted markers thing, being able to hold them, move off them and still hold them, that's really easy.
Good to do actually, you can certainly pull that. And the great game is Warhammer 40,000, surely. It is the great game.
Yeah, most people would dispute that, but I'm pretty sure it's still the most widely played game currently.
Yeah, not everyone loves it, but we do. So, roll a dice at the end of each of your turns after generating this objective. Score that number of victory points at the end of that turn if you control the number of objective markers equal to the number rolled. Okay,
so if you roll a 6 and hold 6 markers, you score 6. If you roll 1 and control 1, you score 1.
So it's a bit luck-based, but potentially very useful.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, that's cool. I think you'll be getting them cards, won't you?
Yeah, I'll have to pick them up.
So, I think what we've seen from this is that demons have got a nice buff. I think they've got the potential to run getting close to top tier, certainly up there with Space Wolves. And
I reckon you could do some interesting things with that.
There's a lot of interesting things there. Khorne is good, but I think Khorne Demonkin just edges it out because of the blood tithes. But obviously if you want that flexibility, then you've got this that you can either run instead of or as an add-in to.
And if you prefer the other gods over Khorne,
then you've got some true strength and formations for the other gods now. Zinch and Nurgle got some great buffs. I can totally expect to see those appearing regularly. Slaanesh, obviously the buffs are nice, they're just not what everyone else has got. I think Slaanesh is still going to be the weakest of the gods, unfortunately. So,
it's a shame that they can't bring them up to equal.
Yeah, it does seem a little unfair. Slaanesh got screwed, but hey, Slaanesh likes getting screwed, so you know. So, on the whole, Curse of the Wulfen. Very good. I don't think there's too much in here that's making me scream, ah, that's so OP, how can this possibly be allowed to stand? And we only found one thing that we're going to really want to FAQ in that, which is in the Slaanesh formation.
Yeah, well, a typo. Whoopsie-doo.
And on the whole, I think this is a very good book. If you play Space Wolves or you play Demons, then pick this book up. One interesting thing here is Sam's brought it tonight in this binder, and he's got his Curse of the Wulfen book and then his relevant codex, in this case Space Wolves, tucked in there. So that makes a nice little way to carry your codexes in. Because obviously the fluff books at home. You had a chance to read much of the fluff yet?
No, I haven't started yet. I'm still on the mock car.
Aha, he's still in for Montcar. Yeah, GW are doing a nice little job with these. They're certainly getting money out of their players, that's for sure. But there's some nice books. One thing I would say now is that practically every Space Marine chapter, certainly of the Loyalist Original Legions chapters, has now got some sort of supplement, except my Salamanders. Okay, you've got Sentinels of Terror, you've got Clan Ruthkar, you've got Champions of Fenris, you've got Montcar has White Scars and Kayon has Raven Guard. They've all got a buff, except my Salamanders. GW, if you're watching this, give Salamanders a book. Give me some buffs, please. I want to play them, but they're just not there at the moment. But hey, that's that rant over. What are you thinking of running first out of this book then, as you're our resident Chaos and Wolves player?
I'm gonna take a break from Chaos. I mean, Ultimate Commander's 6 games over 2 days,
and that's
so I'm
coming
gonna be a
up
bit sick
in less than 12 hours now.
Yeah. So
we're thinking Wolves.
Yeah, I'll be running my Wolves. I mean, I recently bought 2 Razorbacks and a Land Raider plus another box of Grey Hunters. So I'm mixing up my Grey Hunters, turning some of them into Blood Claws, and I'm going to build up some Blood Claws so I can run the Iron Wolves formation.
Iron Wolves, that's cool. So certainly want to get a game in with that on the channel at some point soon, see how the Iron Wolves do. And I'd be really keen to have a read of the missions in here and see if any of them might make a good bat rep for the channel. But anyway, this has gone on quite long enough now. Thanks again for watching, and join us again soon for a review of Ultimate Commander and more bat reps. Thanks a lot. Bye.